Hello and welcome to another episode of Daily Running NixOS. Today we're going to install NeoVim, or in NixOS's case, Nixvim. As you can see, it's already installed, but I'm going to show you how to install it from ground up. So let's go. You might be wondering, what is Nixvim? Nixvim is a NeoVim configuration system for NixOS, or for Nix in general. It is built around Nix modules, so it is distributed as a Nix flake and configured through Nix and SSA, all while leaving room for plugins and your Vim RC. So let's get into it. Once you have added this to your flake, there's nothing else I think that you have to do for Nixvim, so we can just quit and save, adding Nixvim. And we're done. So we can test it. It was already installed, but we can test it. Let's open just something, and it works. I use Home Manager to manage my modules as well as Nixvim. So that means inside of Home, I have this default Nix, and if you look at this, there is this nixvim.nix module, and this is where I configure Nixvim. Maybe I will add some different files for the keymaps and so on, but for now it's just Nixvim. Okay, right now we are inside my nixvim.nix module. The first thing you have to do is import and immediately close your brackets with a semicolon, or you will forget it. And here we have to go to Inputs, Nixvim Home Manager, .nixvim. And with this we have imported Nixvim from the Home Manager, and the next thing that we have to do is Programs. Here we need curly brackets, also close it with a semicolon. Immediately go enable equals true. You could write .enable equals true, but I know that we have to do more options here. So let's go with this, and we will see if it runs. And it does not. Okay, I found the problem. It was here in the inputs. Nixvim exposes Home Manager with the name Home Manager modules and not just Home Manager. And with this should work fine. Let's try again. And it worked like a charm. So if we open NeoVim, we have something. Now let's enable some more things. First off, I want to reformat this properly. First, we enable it. Then we make it to the default editor, also done. Then we want the Vim alias, done. And the V alias. Not sure if I have to rebuild for this. Let's just test it. Or we don't. Well then, let's stay with NeoVim. Okay, now there are some globals that we have to set. And the most important of all, the map leader. The map leader just gives you your leader key, just the key that you use to call all your commands. And for me, it is spacebar. Next, we have some basic Neovim options, short OPTS. Now this is also in curly brackets, semicolon at the end, don't forget. So first off, we want to show line numbers. Then we want to show relative numbers. Oh, important, it's not numbers, it's number, no S. This time it's not in the plural form. The relative numbers just means that your cursor is at 0, and when you scroll around, you see the numbers above and below, counting from your cursor away. So your cursor is at 0, and on top there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then with the bottom, your cursor is at 0. Then comes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Next, we have wrap. Wrap disables line wrapping. I don't like it. Some people do like it, but I put it on false. And it's not wrappy, it's just wrap. Now we have the clipboard. Most of the documentations call the clipboard unnamed plus. I read some of the documentation. I have no idea why. It supposedly is the system clipboard, but I'm not so sure about that. I'm gonna try it later. So this is the basic configuration. Let's quit. Since we use Home Manager, I don't want to rebuild the system every time, so we can use Home Manager switch --flake with the flake IDE. Or we cannot. Well then, we just do this. Since we're using the system clipboard, I'm just gonna copy this phrase and we're gonna test it. Now we have Nixvim. As you can see, the line numbers on the cursor, it's not 0, it's the actual line number that it is on. It was my mistake. But above and below, we count away from the cursor. Next, the system clipboard. Let's see. And it works. Oh my god, nice. Is this a line wrap? Maybe. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's okay. I believe it is time to add some keymaps. So with keymaps we can do different things. We can write a whole section that describes the command, gives it the keymaps and the action, and also if the mode is silent or shown. So first off, we have the mode. This happens in normal mode, that's why you use the N. Next we have the key. For the key we use leader and W. So for the action we do :W, that means writing, and the CR here means enter. So basically when we press leader W, we do this :W and enter, so we save the file. Now we can add some options like silent. I'm going to test it on false. If it's too annoying, I'll just put it on true. Now let's add a second one. We are again in normal mode. The key is leader Q, then the action. The action is :Q and enter. This quits if it's saved, if not, then not. And again, let's see how it works when it's not silent or if it bothers us. Okay, time to test it. We are in Nixvim. Let's just write some stuff and leader W. So not being silenced means we have this message on the bottom. Maybe. Before we get too far into the keymaps or the plugins, there are first a few things that I forgot about. So first I want to set the tab stop to 2. It's just the visual width of a tab. And we also have shift width. It's just the auto indent for tabs. Then we have the soft tab stop. And this is the tab stop in insert mode. So basically when you press tab or backspace, it goes on 2 empty spaces or back 2 empty spaces. The size is basically when you press your spacebar 2 times. That's what the 2 means. And then personally, I think this is pretty important. You have to expand tab. And if you set this to true, your indent from tab is 2 spaces or whatever number you declared instead of just 1 big tab space. This is kind of useful or logical to me. And next we have shift round. As far as I understood it, it rounds the indents that you have in some code that maybe not yours or that you not have written or that you didn't write. It rounds those indents to your shift width. So 2, basically true. I like this. Then we have smart indent, which is a simple auto indent. I also use this normally on true. And these are all the things for tab stop. Let's add a comment. Tab settings. Next, I want to do the line numbers. We already did something above. I just want to move this down here. Oh, is there a simple way to move a whole line with X maybe? Can I also yank the whole line? Does it replace it as well? No, it does not. And we have the cursor line. That basically highlights the line that your cursor is in. I find this useful, many do not. That's for you to decide. So next we have sign columns. Those are basically things in the gutter. The gutter is the big line that you see at the bottom. And if something appears like git signs or something and the sign column appears, if it's normally disabled, your whole git jumps depending on your browser or not browser, depending on your terminal. So I just keep it enabled. Then we have color column. I want the color column to be 80 chars. That basically just draws a thin highlight at column 80. So the color column 80 basically just draws a thin line or a highlight at the column 80 to signal that the preferred line length for wrapping or formatting is reached or just where it is located. Then we have scroll off. That basically means how many lines above and beyond your cursor you always want to be shown. In my case, I would like around 8. 17 is a little short. 10 is a little big. That's basically in the middle with my screen resolution. So 8 might be the sweet spot. And side scroll off is basically the same. I don't know, maybe 5. 5 seems about right. Now some search parameters. First we have ignore case. I know Linux is case sensitive. I am not, so I put it to true. Or we can also just enable smart case. So it prefers the ones that have the same pattern as you or the same cases, but it's not necessary to use. Then there is ink search. I like this. It just highlights in real time what you're searching in your file. Next we have HL search. I put this to true. It just keeps the matches highlighted when you're skipping through them with N or uppercase N. Okay, now we put quite a lot of options in. I want to see if they all work, so I'm going to rebuild and see you when it's done. You can see the line where my cursor is highlighted, which is nice. The color column looks absolutely terrible. Let's test the search first. I want to search for search. Then with enter, we can step into the search and the search highlights the searches. You know what I mean? You see search highlighted by the search and it keeps them highlighted. Wonderful. Ask button doesn't disable the search. How do I disable the search? I don't want to search for search anymore. Oh no, I'm stuck in a search. For search, I probably just go and disable or delete this. Okay, this looks better. I can't use the column and it just looks terrible. It's like an eyesore all the time, just this big fat line on the side. Oh, we haven't tested the tab spaces yet. Let me see, I press tab 2. Yeah, that is 2, okay. But it deletes both when I press backspace on them. I thought they should be like single spaces. Well, doesn't matter. Now there is something about swap. I don't know if it's enabled by default, but I don't want it. Since we don't have it, we don't delete the backup. And since we don't have the backup, we don't have to write the backup. And an undo file. I think there's a plugin that shows you the whole undo tree, or maybe Nixvim does it by itself. But this is really powerful if you're stuck in something. So with list, I'm not so sure. This is for the white spaces. I'm gonna test it. Then there are list chars. So list basically highlight invisible markers, or just markers in your text that are invisible, like white spaces, tabs, trailing spaces, and so on. And list would highlight these. And in list chars, you can define what they look like, which is really cool. So list chars, you have to open this, just close it directly and use a semicolon. Then we have tab. What do we use for tab? ASCII arrow would be nice. And a space or no space. I'm gonna use a trail. For that, we're using this one. Extends often is this default ASCII key. It's like a smaller version of this, and precedes is the same thing, just in the other direction. I'm gonna test that and see if I like it. I'm not sure at which point I would see the list chars, but right now I don't see them. That's fine by me. The next thing that I want to add is the fold method. Creates folds based on indentation levels. For example, just if you have a if, you can fold the if. Everything inside the if belongs to this section because it's indented that way. Basically how Python works, but yeah, you know what I mean, hopefully. Maybe not. Oh, there it is. You see the small little circle? It's while writing. When I press tab, fold method, indent. As I explained so eloquently, there's a fold level. The fold level opens folds to a very deep level on a buffer load, so nothing starts folded. And that depends on your code. If you use a lot of ifs, you can go, I don't know high. I think 99 is enough. You can go higher. You do you. Then we have fold enable. This enables or disables folding by default at startup. You can still enable it per session with set foldable or Z or whatever you're using. I don't like this. I don't want my code to be folded and maybe miss it, so I put it to false. What comment do we give this? Text stuff. Fold your laundry, obviously. Next I have a few general settings. We have the clipboard already on top, so I'm just gonna append here. Then we have mouse. The mouse just enables your cursor or mouse, and A is just a keyword to enable it. I'm not sure it just supports all modes for clicks, dragging, or whatever you're doing. Then we have a split below. I put this to true, so when you do :split or key combination for that, you can create a window below the current one. Same goes for split right. I also set this to true. Then we have the timeout length. I'm not sure if I actually want to do that, but I just put it to a second. I just read it up. The timeout length is how long the system waits before your command just times out. So when you press the leader key, you have 1 second now. That seems a little bit too long. I think I'm going with 500 for now. So leader W, yeah, should be fine. Then there is term GUI colors. This just uses full 24-bit RGB colors. It is needed for most modern themes. I'm pretty sure this should be enabled by default, but I'm just going to add it. Then there is complete OPT, and for this, it always shows a completion pop-up when with one item, but doesn't auto-select it. So it should work nicely with LSP or completion plugins. There are different menus. I'm not so sure how they actually work. There is, for example, menu 1 and no select. We might have to change that later on. Then we have update time. This triggers cursor hold or auto command events after 300 milliseconds of idle. This could affect things like diagnostics and pop-ups, swap, undo, write frequency, and so on. If you need a lot of these things, you can make it quicker. I think I'm fine with 300 milliseconds. This is a whole lot of configuration. So I've talked a lot about them. I'm sure I've got some of them wrong or missed some important ones. If you have anything to say that could be of use for me or correct me or help others, feel free to comment them. It's getting late. I'm just looking through them, everything that we did today. There's some extremely ugly indentation down here. At least we can see the arrow. Not sure why we can see it. There has to be an auto indent, right? This also looks wrong. It's getting late. Let's just test it. Hey, this doesn't look too good. Split below. Okay, there is an error for split below. Unknown option. Should only have one L. Why not use search? X. We had no error on startup, which is wonderful. Everything seems to be working. Let's do a split. It opened it underneath. Looks really confusing. Let's do a V-split to the right. Wonderful. Okay, this seems like a nice starting point. I still want to add a theme and probably a lot of other things that I don't even know yet, but I think this is a good start. Auto indentation. Also a topic. Maybe that needs an LSP. We will see. So that's all for me today, but I'm sure the LUIX of tomorrow will come back to right this point. Goodbye.